Okay, so let's go ahead with the short discussion today. Uh, what kind of question will be asked is supposed to be asked during the interview when you go for an interview of data science. So, like we will discuss today, around 20 to 25 questions that are uh, asking frequently, and that questions are really important. So, like when you can see my channel, uploaded videos, and you can try to analysis from there that there are like the question that certain questions are every time asked. So I will say, like, you can say there's a question called supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Then you should know this, that like what can be the example from here that is can be differentiated, and also you should know the technique from supervised and unsupervised machine learning. Like you can consider like if you're considering like a supervised machine learning technique, that means you are considering about the linear regression, and then you are considering the random forest. We are considering the SBM. They are the supervised machine learning. If you're considering about unsupervised machine learning, then you can of course go ahead with the k-means algorithm. So basically, these kinds of things you should know, and then in unsupervised machine learning, basically you do the clustering. You don't have the linear data, right? So again, like that again a very interesting point here. Like uh, if you are considering the you can say linear regression, or you can considering the SPM. So basically, linear regression, you use the equation called y equal to mx plus c, where b the bias, m is the slope, you can say. But if you're considering the equation called for SPM, like basically you convert into the high dimensionals and use the kernel, and you can use the radius as well for that. So basically, like they use the Gaussian functions, right, to try to convert into those. With the help of these kernels, you convert into nonlinear into the uh, nonlinear function to the hand dimension, and then you can draw the hyperplanes so that you can, and then after drawing the hyperplane, you can do the linear separable eachly, and then you can try to find the maximum distance from the hyperplane, which are very closer to the hyperplane. You can try to analysis accordingly. So if you're considering the next question, they may ask you from PCA, and then they may you can get the question from overfitting, underfitting. You can get the question you will be asked from regularizations like overfitting problem to like L1 and L2 regularization. You can say so L2 and L1 regularization. Basically, L1 is lasso, and L2 is ridge, and then L1 you use when we have to add the penalties, and not in the square form, like you just add the penalties. But when you are considering about but when you are considering about L2, that means you are adding a square of weight with the penalties, right? So that's the one difference. uh, Also you can say L1 you use when we have very you have to use for a specific task, right? Let's say some specific data you have given, and you want to fetch out data from there. And in that, what situation you will use L2? For L2, what you can say that for L2, you can say when we have a very broad data, so many element data, from there you have to choose a specific one. So then L2 will be working because you are doing a square of the weight. So of course that is working for a complex data, you can say. If you're considering, if you're coming to the neural network and deep learning and LLM models, so the one question is asked, what is the difference between deep learning and machine learning? So basically, the difference between the deep learning and machine learning is very easy because deep learning is something you can, like concept of, you can say LSTM, RNN, this kinds of concept they use. They basically use You can say they use the concept of like fully connected layer, output layer, and like in CNN basically. So you apply the activation function there. You have max pooling layer. So you can enhance the images and all these things. But in machine learning, it's not possible. Almost because you have some method like classification problem you can handle by like trying the decision tree. Those kinds of things is there. So I hope everybody is getting. And then you can, if you come to the like some more basic questions from deep learning is that like you can consider like what is the difference between CNN and RNN? What is the difference between LST and RNN? This kind of question you may expect. Also, you may expect a question from deep learning is that like what are the libraries we use? Like what is the use of PyTorch, TensorFlow? Uh, you can say the framework like Keras, right? So and then you can accordingly you can go ahead that what is the max pooling layer, what is fully connected layer, how will you use the ReLU here, and then how is the ReLU is really helping to you know like to get the images properly. Those kinds of questions you should really, really need to understand. You should keep revising these kinds of concepts. Questions from yourself you need to ask, and then you will see that you are going to get selected very easily because until and unless you will not satisfy your audience or your interviewer, then you are not perfect, right? You are not going to be get selected. Again, I'm not saying you need to be perfect, but again, you need to be uh, very generative person. Like you should be able to think something. What are the possible answers you can give? If you're considering the LLM, large language model, there is a one term is called BE, and then you said called encoder and decoder is there. GAN is there, and PAE is there, and there's one concept called RAG. So basically, GAN has two parts, generative and descriptive, and then PAE has two parts, encoder and decoder. Yeah, I can say correct. And then what are the models you can say? Like you can say BRT is there, GPT-3 is there, Del E is there. These are the new models that came. Everybody is getting. Okay, thank you very much. We'll be meeting soon with the more questions I am trying to carry so that you can try to understand those questions. So that's a very good question. Very good.